Hey there guys, gals, goons and ghouls. Thanks for visiting my YouTube horror story channel. I hope you'll find your visit entertaining and the stories will keep you up at night. Or at the very least, make you look under the bed and in the closet before you sleep. Please check the description below for links to some products which I hope will help you through the darkest nights and to survive those frightening times. It's a cool way for you to help support my work here on this channel while I do my thing to keep you and yours up at night. Please also remember to give this video a like if you like it, share it with your friends, and hit that subscribe button below to get notified of the next edition of my kinda sorta true horror stories. Sleep well, and I'll see you in your dreams. My father had passed about 3 years before this event, and my brother and mother had to leave our home because it held too many memories for them. They couldn't handle being there any longer. It was just too painful. However, I just couldn't let go. That house was where I grew up, and while I always looked forward to having my own place as a child and moved out on my 17th birthday, now that he was gone, it seemed wrong to leave what he had worked so hard to build. When my mother and brother decided they were leaving it, I sold my house and I moved back home. On that night, the storm unleashed its fury outside. I sat at the dining room table trying to concentrate and get my work done before the inevitable power outage. Flashes of lightning lit the night to seem like day, and even through the frosted window panes of the front door, images and shadows of what lay beyond came through. The howl of the wind also gave an eerie feel to the night. I was trying to focus on the details of the work in front of me, but kept getting an uneasy feeling in my gut. It was a feeling of being watched. It felt unnerving, but I was alone and the house was locked up tight in preparation for the storm. Maybe it was the sounds outside that gave me the chills. I managed to shrug it off and continued with the task at hand because it was only a matter of time until lightning strike or the wind would take the light. It was sudden. A flash of lightning, which left an afterglow in the sky, and the loudest crack of thunder I ever heard, and the lights were gone. Now, I'm not afraid of the dark, but I felt an unusual chill run down my spine, and an overwhelming feeling of being alone caused my stomach to turn instantly. Luckily, I was prepared for the loss of electricity. I reached for the torchlight, clicked it on, found the matches, and lit a couple of candles. Then the laughter started. Soft at first, almost like an echo of laughter, but then it got a bit louder and seemed somewhat closer. I turned to my left and then to my right until eventually I had spun 360 degrees. Nothing. No one was there. Was it the wind and the darkness combining to bring the images of years of watching horror movies into my now stricken thoughts? Or was it a noise from outside due to the storm? All of a sudden, there was a sound of something breaking. It gave me the impression that it might have come from one of the other rooms. Was someone or something in the house? Then the laughter intensified. Another flash of lightning lit up the room, and out of the corner of my eye, I thought I saw someone walking down the hall towards me. Who was in my home? What did they want? And how the hell did they get inside? I turned the flashlight in the direction of what I thought I saw, and there was no one and nothing there. I called out, trying to sound like a tough badass. I needed to know who was there and what they wanted. What the hell were they doing in my home? But there was nothing, no response, not even the laughter, just deathly silence. A creaking sound then came from behind me in the living room. It seemed as if it came from the rocking chair in the corner, at the far end of the room. As I turned the light in the direction of the sound, I noticed the last movements of the chair. It was rocking slightly, and then it came to a sudden stop as the light hit it. The laughter began once again, but this time the voice said my name, twice. The voice seemed to be coming from everywhere at once. It felt as if it was pulsing through me. It was a sound I could feel, and that scared me. It claimed to be watching me, and said I needed to know the truth about something. It said I wasn't alone. It beckoned me to come to it and join them. The voice sounded like that of a little girl. It did not seem threatening nor aggressive, but it made my heart skip a beat and the pit of my stomach groaned as the fight or flight impulse set in. I was no longer interested in who was there or what they wanted. I needed to get out and as far from that house as I could. I turned to run towards the back door of the house, towards the kitchen. The back door would give me quick access to my neighbor's yard and what I hoped would be eventual safety. I felt as if I was moving at the speed of light. It would make Superman and Flash green with envy. Doors, walls, hallways, and rooms were flying by me, but I hadn't moved a step. I could not move. I was frozen in place, as if being held back or restrained by some invisible force. The voice started again, this time telling me not to run because I couldn't escape, and it made no sense. It claimed to have known my father and to have sat at that very dining room table with him many nights as he worked. It told me I was not alone and that I never was, because it was always with me and that it was my turn. It was my turn? My turn for what? That freaked me out. Since I could not move, I decided to confront whatever it was, which was talking to me and haunting my mind. I asked again who it was, what it wanted, what I needed to know, and why couldn't I move. I wondered if this was the only voice in my head. Was I going crazy? Was the grief of losing my hero finally taking its toll on my mind? I needed to know. For an instant, there was a disorienting silence, not even the sound of the wind, rain, nor thunder from the storm. It almost seemed as if I was in a vacuum, void of all senses, numb to the touch, and paralyzed from the neck down. I was never one to believe in the supernatural, but this moment was teaching me otherwise. I started remembering and believing everything I was ever told. All the stories conveyed to me by relatives as a child rang true to me. They all seemed too real from that moment on. Something beyond my conception was controlling me. It took away my ability to move, to run, to escape. But it didn't take away my dread. The fear of the unknown became overwhelming. It was controlling my senses and my entire being. I saw my youth flash in episodes before me, all that I did wrong, all those I hurt, all that I wanted to do over, all that I didn't do. Regret, sorrow, and pain began to fill me. An emotional pain beyond comparison began to take over from the fear. Memories brought tears, and the tears were accompanied by a sorrow beyond comprehension, and outside my new reality. The badass in me disappeared, only to be replaced by a youthful fear and inquisition. I needed to know. I asked the same questions one more time. I had more questions than words would exit my mouth, but I at least managed to get those out. For a moment there was a silence, and then there was a short, faint laugh. If it was not for the feeling I had from the sound of the voice and laughter, I would have thought it was my friends getting me back for years of pranks. However, this was not a prank, nor a quest for revenge. No living creature could cause me to feel a voice. Again, there was a brief pause before it spoke, but this time it was a man's voice, telling me to go to the kitchen, get a knife, and to end my life. This voice brought an immense feeling of dread and evil over me, and I felt myself being compelled, forced into the kitchen. I did not want to go, but it felt like I had no choice. One step was followed by another, until I found myself standing in the doorway of the kitchen. The knives were in the drawer just a few steps away. As I approached the drawer with the knives, the little girl voice returned. She was telling me not to do it, that the male voice I heard was evil, to concentrate on her voice to break the spell and to run towards her voice. It took every bit of mental and physical strength for me to break away, and I found myself running to the front door. The sounds of the storm returned, the thunder, the rain, the wind, and above it all, the voice behind me. It felt evil. It was cold. It felt like pure hate. The voice pushed me to run from the kitchen even faster, while the voice of the little girl pulled me towards with hope. As I approached the front door, there was a blinding flash of lightning followed by instantaneously by a clap of thunder that shook the house. Did I just die and didn't know it yet? Then I saw it. For the first time in my life, I saw a spirit, a ghost. First I saw the hand, then the face, and then the rest of its body. It was like white smoke coming through the frosted glass of the front door. It was the little girl. It was featureless, but had a smoky outline of a person. I could feel it was her. She was reaching for me, reaching to help me. She was motioning for me to get to the door and get out of the house. As I ran through the misty figure, I felt a slight chill run through me. It made my hair stand on end, but it was not from fear. She was a barrier protecting me from my pursuer. I reached the door, grabbed the handle, turned the key, and in an instant I was out of that house. They found me the next day on the lawn, on my front yard, face down, soaking wet and motionless. My body was stiff from the fright and from the cold hand of rigor mortis. My dogs were lying beside me. They never left my side. I'm still in that house to this day. I can't leave. They won't let me.